Today, we finish our 3-round 2026 NFL mock draft, just like the NFL draft. Day 1 was yesterday, and day 2 today is rounds 2 and 3. If you guys do want to experience round 1, go and check the video out, but we are going to be doing a quick recap right here. Below my board is my face. If you are new, would love for you to stay around and join the community. My grades are based on all 22 only. I am not afraid to be completely honest and completely wrong, because there's always the chance I'm completely right. But at the same time, we also have those learning opportunities. Regardless, let's get into this. Players who are marked with an asterisk are due to drop and are due for a reevaluation. So looking at I'm going to let you guys use your peepers to see the actual picks that were made. I'm going to discuss some of the maybe more controversial ones, or even more importantly, the biggest trades that you guys would have to go back and watch in order to kind of see it in real time. So ended up being chalk for the first four picks. Again, I try to keep some things a little bit more fresh. I do 2 mock drafts a week, which you might say that's a little bit overkill, but for some reason, my mind will find a unique path every time. And I try to logic my way through it. We watched new mock drafts together, and this is just something I love to do, and I know you guys enjoy it. But regardless, the Tennessee Titans and the Las Vegas Raiders ended up conducting a trade. I didn't like the value for the Titans there at number 5, so I ended up, getting a little bit of a pick swap, right? So I ended up trading a second and a third for the third and the fourth. Or excuse me, no, I traded a second and a fourth for the third and the fourth, essentially, for the Titans. So they end up essentially moving up a lot of picks in order to make this move and still get the same player they wanted. I did that exact same strategy for the Bears and Bengals trade, but regardless, Spencer Fano, I wanted to be able to jump the Dolphins for that, because I know the Raiders desperately need tackle, and this class is maybe not so good. If you guys are wondering why I'm wearing a hat, it's because your boy took a shower, and it always looks silly goofy whenever my hair dries. So for you guys, saving you guys the torment of that at the same time, this hat's really cool. Might as well get my money's worth. But we did a trade between the Bears and the Bengals, same exact value. Peter Woods was here. You guys see what I think of Peter Woods. And I blend my board with reality for those of y'all who are still kind of new to the series. Like, I put my board below my face so you guys see exactly what I think of the players. And if you guys do join the Patreon, it's $5 a month. You get all 290 players that I have graded. Along with that, you end up getting full scouting reports for them as well, or at least grade breakdowns. And then on top of that, extended positional videos, special videos are coming for the show itself, and then even more. So I mean, it's a lot of stuff that I put in there, and I hope you guys do enjoy it. But regardless, the result of that trade down was Mansour Delane, which is what I wanted in the first place for the Bengals. So again, for both the Titans and the Bengals, it was pretty much free real estate, if you want to call it that way. And we ended up getting some good pick value there. But continued, a lot of picks just ended up firing off the rip. I know I'm probably gonna get some pushback on Mekhi Lemon to the Steelers. I think Mekhi Lemon is a superstar in this class. I mean, he's right now number 19 on my board, and he's going to be pushed up probably even higher than that based on his play this year, based on dropping some other players that I really liked. So he's a top tier weapon. I did not want to reach for a quarterback. That's what we did when we drafted Kenny Pickett. So don't really want to do that if I don't have to. But continuing on, we did have a trade up here. The Buccaneers, there's a player I wanted for them, and guess what? I got them at the pick that I traded down to with the Chiefs. So basically made a free trade down. The Chiefs ended up jumping multiple teams. I was guaranteed to take LT Overton in like the next 2 to 3 picks. So I wanted to make sure that I took him early and often for a team that's pretty much struggling in the pass rush game, and providing that run upside as well. So wanted to make sure that happened again for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Got the exact player I would have taken at 19. So again, makes a lot of sense there. We did have another trade here. The Chargers and the Ravens ended up making a small pick move because the Ravens wanted to jump the Rams and take Avion Terrell. So I still ended up getting, once again, the player I wanted for the Chargers. That's kind of a common theme with my trade downs, is like, am I going to be giving up somebody? And if I'm going to be giving up the player I want to draft for this team, like, am I still going to get someone that I would pretty much have tied? Because if that's the case, then maybe we can get some good value. But Otherwise, I'm not really a huge fan of making at least relatively short range trade downs. And then, of course, the Buccaneers got David Bailey via that trade down as well. That was the player I won for him at 9. And then the Cowboys and Lions made some deals. You're going to say maybe too many trades, but end of the first, there's definitely some deals that were going on. I just didn't like the value for these teams in general. This draft is awkwardly skewed in terms of its talent at the moment. Like maybe we'll see guys continue to develop over the year and it'll make less sense to move out of this spot. But quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, sitting here at 29. I'm assuming his dad is going to remain the offensive coordinator and he's going to pound the table for his kid saying, hey, this is a guy who I think will be the leader of our franchise. Wearing the number 18 at LSU is a very big deal. So there's that leadership component. And once again, I'm listening to guys like Todd McShay who are talking to people in the league, and they have a very high opinion of Garrett Nussmeier. So to me, it would be doing y'all a disservice, even though it makes y'all a little grouchy, in order to, let Garrett Nussmeier slip much further than that. And then I had the Titans use both of those second-round picks to move up and select Denzel Boston, getting the first and the second from the Lions, so 30 and 60 respectively. Then, of course, we are back, number 33. Let's churn through this. We're going to have a good time. We're still going to talk about the logic of all these picks, but I do want to try to get this under an hour. Your boy has an appointment to get to. I want to make sure this is up for y'all. I want to be able to see my parents today. There's a whole lot of stuff there that I want to make sure that we can end up doing while also getting you guys the best content. But number 33, New York Jets, first pick, the Cuban Missile, Fernando Mendoza. Pretty sure that people have already called him that, but I'm just going to say that I'm calling him it for the time being. If nobody else has, I'll coin it. I'm 99.9% sure I've seen that elsewhere and I'm copying somebody else. So don't give me credit for that. But he is from Miami. Could be kind of fun seeing him go to Miami a couple times a year, or at least facing Miami a couple times a year. But regardless, we got our quarterback. That's where we're starting, and these are based on Super Bowl odds as of before Thursday Night Football. Again, I think the Jets need to get wide receiver. And the beautiful thing is this class has flourished with wide receiver talent. Casey Concepcion is my next highest graded wide receiver. He is pretty much tied with Denzel Boston, just a little bit lower grade than him. Denzel Boston at 22. Big move up for me. You guys know this. Usually the part of the year before or like the year before, I'm not a huge fan of these bigger vertical guys, but I end up coming around. Same thing with Tetrell McMillan. But yeah, I think Denzel Boston's fantastic. And then Casey Concepcion has taken a huge step up at Texas A&M. But I think his skill set's a little too close to Garrett Wilson's. And we want to provide a little bit of balance in this receiving core. CJ Daniels is right up there with the guys that I'd go after. But this is a player that I will see if he passes the eye test. But this is the guy who I have as my true number 2 wide receiver. So I guess I lied. This is the actual next best available wide receiver for me. Chris Bell, wide receiver out of Louisville. 6'2", 220. Burner, good after the catch, just a damn balanced wide receiver that you give for the Cuban Missile himself. 34 for the Dallas Cowboys. We ended up moving up essentially to pick 44 via that trade down. And I really do like that. Again, now we have 34 and 44 that we can end up moving around. First pick, TJ Parker. And we have not lost any of the defensive interior talent that I would be looking at. I would have loved somehow, some way for Christian Miller to have slipped to us at that spot, but not the case. There's another position I do want to look at though. And it is it's a dark horse position for this team. It is linebacker with Sonny Styles. I would say I'm not going to pull the trigger on this. I need to hear from my Cowboys fans what you think of a Sonny Styles acquisition for this team. I will say if Dylan Thieneman were here, that'd be my instant go-to. Zaki Wheatley is far from a bad option though. I have him rated very similarly as a top 35 player, I believe, on my board. We could see this ourselves. I don't know why. A top 30 player, number 29 for me. And again, that includes some guys who are above. So definitely a move where I'm actually very intrigued at the idea of the Cowboys getting a longer-term defensive back, especially with how the corners have become a liability. I do like to go defensive interior, but to change things up, we ended up getting extra value. Maybe could have gotten Dylan Thieneman, but Zaki Wheatley's a better athlete as well. If you guys want to see his stats, he's been performing phenomenally well. This is just a very, very good player. I don't know how many yards he's allowed on the year, but this guy is just really, really solid. Just his one issue is processing what the hell's behind him. But if he's amazing as a deep safety. He has his eyes down the field. He's going to process everything. He loves to come up into the box. This is just a rock solid defender that you want to kind of put your money on. Zaki Wheatley, defensive back out of Penn State, there for the Cowboys via that trade back. At number 35 for the Carolina Panthers, first pick, Lenore Sellers. Second pick might have been Zaki Wheatley, but this one I'm also running to the podium. We're going to go Sonny Styles here, linebacker out of the Ohio State University. He's somebody who I like to put in the first round, built like a Mike. This team needs to have true leadership in the linebacking room. It's kind of time to stop bandaging the position and go after somebody who's going to be a reliable threat. At number 36, we got the New York Giants going Jordan Tyson in the first round. That's a very fun curveball that I ended up throwing in there because I normally do not do that. But invest in your offense, and I think that's the best way you can do it. I do think corner is on the board right now. The question is who? And the big issue with this corner class is it's almost the exact opposite of what we saw with the wide receiver class, where a lot of these guys who were top end, like DJ McKinney, I was hoping he was going to turn it around. He so far has been pretty mediocre, not going to lie. Dalen Everett got absolutely cooked versus Bama. You got AJ Harris. He's been relatively unreliable. I mean, when he loses big. He's still going to go in this range because, again, I blend my board with realism. I'll just tell you guys what I think. The guy who I think might be like a dark horse here, and he'll probably rise up through the end of the year process, is Chris Johnson. I've seen some clips of him. I do not have San Diego State all 22, so I can't give you a full eval, but he's somebody that I really, really like from what I see early. And then Davison Igbinosun, people will still dog on him. He is still a very good player. I mean, I was obviously grading Denzel Boston versus him, and it was a fun chess match. I'm going to be honest. But some other areas that we could potentially improve. You could go that safety route if Zaki Wheatley were there. I don't think the value is there necessarily. If you can end up finding, like if Dexy, God forbid, says I'm out, you could find a defensive interior that's a nose in this class. I think that could work. Like right tackle just doesn't have the value right now. So I do think I'm going to go back and go with the realistic pick here in AJ Harris. Like a lot of people have him as like their top defensive back in the class. I don't. I'm pretty confident with my cornerback evals. I don't like how he loses, and that's like a big thing for me. If you lose very poorly, the NFL will find ways to continue exposing you for that in a way that college, I don't think they have the same level of discretion. At 37 for the Detroit Lions, I'm going to be going edge rusher here with Mateo Uiagalelei. He's coming off a red hot week versus Penn State where he had over 4. I think he had 5 pressures, 3 defensive stops, like really showed out in that game. Granted, it was versus players who I think are guard styles, but I mean, you have to show out versus those guys too. So I can't bump him for that or can't drop him for that. But what I can do is say, maybe we can take it with a grain of salt if he faces NFL offensive tackle length, which kind of does in practice anyways. But if he ends up going up against some NFL tackles and struggles, then we might end up saying maybe it was more on the offensive line than him. But for the time being, we're going to go Mateo Uiagalelei, edge rusher out of Oregon, has the physical build that the Lions usually go after there, the 6'5", 270 range. Think about Josh Paschal. At number 38 for the Miami Dolphins, first pick, Caleb Downs. Pick number 38, I am going to take the quarterback route here. And the question is, what style do you want? The top 3 quarterbacks for me available are Cade Klubnik, Ty Simpson, and then probably Josh Hoover. Like, Trinidad Chambliss is fun, but he's like barely 6 foot. Sawyer Robertson needs to be in that equation. Same thing with Jalen Daniels, Carson Beck, and then you could also toss in Drew Aller. There's a reason I'm like pushing Drew Aller's name out of the equation. Arch Manning not considered in this. But Ty Simpson, going back to Bama is not a horrible idea. Like, he's been red hot, and he's a good game manager who makes big time throws. Super young, should stay in school, but he's going to be somebody that I'm going to roll the dice on. Another Bama quarterback leading the Miami Dolphins. At number 39 for the Detroit Lions, again, we drafted Mateo Uiagalelei. Is there another player here that's worth it? And I'm looking at Caleb Tiernan right now in the Chicago Bears, and I know the Bears are usually a measurables team, but in round 2, it does feel like they might be willing to kind of curve that a little bit and go after somebody who could just be more of a reliable left tackle. Now, the question is Darnell Wright going to be able to stick up at left tackle? I don't know. because they played Ozzy Trapilo at right tackle last week. Obviously, there's some health concerns there, but Ozzy still needs to grow and develop. Um, but another position we could just do for the Lions right now is linebacker. I was gonna try to screw him over, and I mean, like I could try to make a move up with a team to draft Tiernan because he is kind of by far the best tackle available. Like, I hate to say it, there's not many very good tackles that are left. Drew as a party is another guy who I don't remember if he's draft eligible. He's just been on my list several times. I love Alex Harkey. He also is somebody who's a right tackle, so obviously not the same situation with the Bears, but I'm thinking maybe for a team like the Cardinals could discuss it. Regardless, I think I'm just going to stick and pick. I'm happy with the value here. Linebacker's a big question for me. Whit Weeks is a monster, so I'm still going to go Anthony Hill here because of the measurables. He's in that more 238 to 240 range versus Whit Weeks in the 220 to 225 range. Both would be very solid picks for me, but Anthony Hill Jr. feels like the more realistic one. At 40 for the Chicago Bears, first pick, Peter Woods via a trade up. And I mean, again, we ended up making some good moves here. Why do the Bears have pick 40? I don't think this is how it's supposed to be. Yep, I fucked up. That we ended up trading the third. I'm like, there ain't no way the Bears are still on the board after moving up. Okay, well, good thing we didn't make a move with the Lions then. That's on me. I'm glad I ended up having that first. Like, hold up, wait a minute. We're back with the Bengals. Okay, we have 40 and 43 for them. I was like, hold up, I thought I had 2 for the Bengals. But regardless, we're back on track. This is also a team I think could continue investing in offensive line. The interior of the offensive line does have some question marks there, but one that has been very reliable is Vega Ione. This guy has been really, really solid. Like overall, one pressure on the year. Dude's been rock solid. Could be a first rounder at guard if I'm going to be completely honest. And the Bengals need to continue investing in the guard spot. You know, I hate to say it. Emmanuel Pregnon's another guy. This dude's fantastic. I loved him coming into the year. I thought he had a lot to grow and learn from USC to Oregon, and he's learned it. But Vega Ione is just more the high floor player. I'm going to go after him there. At 41 for the Cleveland Browns, first 2 picks, Dante Moore, Caleb Lamu. Invest in your offense. Wide receiver is definitely on my mind here, but Deni Dennis Sutton is still available. And you might say, like, why would you go Mateo over him? I think Deni ends up winning a little bit less translatably than Mateo does, and I'm not a big Mateo guy. I'm just not. But Deni Dennis Sutton's here. We're going to take him. The ceiling's sky high, but I do think that it's not as translatable as what people want to say. And I want to give Deni every credit that I can because you guys know me. I love Penn State defenders, but I got to keep it real with y'all. Not really the case. Arizona Cardinals, I'm probably getting destroyed for Arvell Reese. I ended up waking up and saying, I need to get this video out for you guys. I want to see how this all goes out. But, the players that I would consider here, I love Casey Concepcion to this team. You provide the returning ability. He's a first-round quality receiver. This team needs more receiving help. I would also probably toss in Alex Harkey to be the right tackle. Again, don't know why PFF has him ranked 461. They're putting him in there because I know a lot of people were complaining last year about having to use a lot of placeholders. I am those people. But I'm just glad that we only have like Malachi Lawrence to worry about for placeholders. Because right tackle is a big issue for this team. But I do think that the value is just there for Casey Concepcion. Like, I've gone after one player of a lower value position, Arvell Reese. Let's go after one of a little bit more applicable ability there with KC. At 43 for the Bengals, again, we went Vega Ione and Mansour Delane. I think those are 2 very crucial positions to target. Maybe I should have went after Deni Dennis Sutton, but I don't know if he's going to test as well. And I do see guys like Anthony Lucas in the 3rd round if I want to trade back here and, get some good draft capital. Zion Young that I feel pretty comfortable with. Or in the 4th round going after Akeem Mesidor, who's number 1 in the country for true pass rush win rate right now. I mean, he could sneak up here. He just has sub 33-inch arms, and it's just a little bit scary. And then he is a little bit more of a designated pass rusher, as you guys can see. But, I mean, Akeem has been balling the fuck out. I really like what Akeem's doing. But this organization likes measurables. That's the problem. You got to go after guys with arm length. And I don't know Anthony Lucas's, but I do know Kenyatta Jackson, Anthony Lucas. Those guys probably have a little bit of the longer arm length based on their build. Zion Young as well. So I feel very comfortable with potentially moving back if we can end up finding somebody to move up. Once again, we have Caleb Tiernan here, and I do think the Cowboys would be open to the idea of Tiernan based on, the long-term implications of Terrence Steele and moving Tyler Guyton maybe to a right tackle. I'd love seeing that for them. But, maybe let's look at some other teams. The Patriots, if you could end up moving one of them to right tackle, maybe you could. They've already shown favorability. One of them, Caleb Tiernan or Will Campbell, which they're not going to do with Will Campbell. So if you can move Tiernan to right tackle, they'd like it. But that seems like a team for Harkey for me. Is there any other team looking for a left tackle? I've already taken offensive linemen for the Texans. Otherwise, I would do so. Went CC Mauigoa. Not seeing a team that's going to be wanting to do the tango here, if I'm being completely honest. For Caleb Tiernan, at least. Is there any other team that want to make this move? Caleb Banks is available. I mean, honestly, we could just rock it with, Banks at this point. But looking at other teams that might want defensive interior because the Cowboys also are going to threaten that. I do think actually the Texans wouldn't be a bad target. They'd actually be a pretty good team to move up and take the ceiling on Caleb Banks. And I think for this, recomping the picks might be the best thing you can do. So I think that we are going to offer 126. We're going to get 68. And yeah, it's not that big of a move up. So we're going to have to provide future value as well. But I like the way that this balances out because the Bengals, you're going to be better next year. For the Texans, I don't think that 3 picks in this range are really going to make that insane of a difference. I do like the idea of being able to get more so the filler in positions and early round 4 where you can really snipe the value. And again, you're taking a shot on somebody who could be a superstar. I see plenty of teams in front of you that probably are going to, and if we end up not liking that too much, I could probably move the Bengals down here and get the same player. So just want to put that in mind. But Caleb Banks, defensive interior out of Florida, going to be the pick there for the Texans. Health has been the problem, but 35 plus inch arms. I mean, it's definitely going to be something the Cowboys I've gone after before, but at number 44, the debate is between now Big Dom Orange and Caleb Tiernan. The question is, are they going to go defense 3 times in a row? Caden McDonald's here too. I do love Caden McDonald. You know what? I'm going to go Caden McDonald here. I think the value is right for him. He's young. Caleb Banks has the super sky-high ceiling. I have him higher graded than Caden McDonald, so I do really like the pick still for the Texans, but again, I just feel very comfortable with the idea of moving him there. For the Patriots, I am going to go after Alex Harkey. He ended up allowing some a pretty poor, I think 3 or 4 pressures versus Deny Dennis Sutton. However, and it wasn't even just Deny, actually. Deny usually went up against Isaiah World. They have, Penn State has a really good freshman at edge rusher, if I'm not mistaken. But Alex Harkey was straight up mauling dudes. And he has subpar arm length. I still think that's fine for a team that ended up drafting a tackle with subpar arm length. So Alex Harkey, tackle out of Oregon, going there. Someone who I have in my top 45. 40 with guys moving down. 46, Atlanta Falcons. Another team I think I'm pretty happy if I can move down. I'm not seeing too many teams that threaten with the center move because you guys know me. I'm pretty stuck on this move right now for them, but it's center with Parker Brailsford. He played with Michael Penix before. I think that's just the right thing to do. But I just think that if we can end up still getting some value by that move down, again, with Tiernan, is there anybody who wants to move up for him? Jonah Coleman, a top tier running back. We could talk about that as well. Whit Weeks, honestly, really good value here. The problem is I'm not seeing many people threatening for these players. So I think we're going to stick and pick. I'm not going to waste our time just trying to force a trade partner. We're going to go Parker Brailsford, center out of Alabama. He is somebody who I have, I believe, in my top 60 right there at number 59. And again, that deals with players who are starred, who are destined to drop. So really good value. I mean, again, literally played center with Michael Penix at Washington. Might be 290, but he plays a lot better than that. At 47 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, we took Mekhi Lemon in round 1 because the quarterbacks didn't get very much different here for round number 2. Ty Simpson went, and that's about it. And the question is, who do you want to roll your dice on? I'm going to go after Cade Klubnik. Again, you can go after Hoover. Hoover's a little bit lighter than Klubnik. Aller is just shown to me to be way too developmental. And unless we keep Aaron Rodgers for an extra year, I do not trust us to develop him. Cade Klubnik, a lot of people rave about his leadership. I don't like that he was talking about fake injuries and stuff versus Syracuse, but he makes all-star level plays. And I mean, his throws are fantastic. And this is coming from someone who didn't like Cade Klubnik as the top quarterback in this class coming to the year. Like, I'm now like the Cade realist. By the way, this is coffee, not beer, so YouTube do not demonetize me. Coffee's fucking awesome. I mean, it's espresso, so it's like that shit hits like a fucking rock. But best thing you guys can do, by the way that I started my like fitness journey in terms of like making sure that I don't put on weight, because I love the frappuccinos and all that shit. Because I have a sweet tooth. It is what it is. But like I ended up just looking at coffee for energy and then just forced myself to drink espresso. And I'm like, first couple times, I promise y'all, get espresso over ice, because it will give you the energy off the bat, because you're like, ugh. And then as the ice melts, it becomes an Americano. It becomes so much easier to drink. So if you guys are looking to get into coffee, there you go. Tips with Alex. You know what? I feel like I fleeced the Texans on that move, by the way. We're gonna swap this pick here, because I do think 54 is a little bit logical to get 48 in return. So we're going to go with the Texans here at 48 as well. I just think it's a little disingenuous to give you guys a mock draft that's a little bit bullshit like that. So not going to do that. Going to be honest. CC Mauigoa, Caleb Banks, the two picks right there. I think running back with Jonah Coleman pairs perfectly with Woody Marks. Like, that is something I'm very excited to see. If you get Jeremiah Love, I think it's a little bit of an overlap of responsibility. This provides some new ground for Jonah Coleman still to provide value and still keep the production from Woody Marks. At 49 for the Minnesota Vikings, first pick, Colton Hood. I just love that pick for him. At number 49, though, there is some questions over like some concussion concerns with y'all's center. That's a big concern. A lot of guys have been starting to retire earlier because they're a bit worried about how their head is going to hold up. And that is scary. I mean, as somebody myself, I played 7 years of football. I stopped playing because I had too many concussions. And I mean, to be fair, I also wasn't good enough to continue playing at Oaks Christian against guys like Kayvon Thibodeau. Just going to be honest, get my ass whooped. I'm not built like that. You guys see, those of y'all who see me in person, you can end up actually going and checking out the mock draft from when I was at the Senior Bowl. You'll see me standing next to Marcus. Brosh and I are about the same height, but like Marcus is a fucking unit. That's the type of guy I would be going against. Obviously, there's that factor as well, but concussions were like the big thing that's like, yeah, we're not ever going back. So like, it's a big thing. It's a legitimate, really concerning issue. I do think I might be happy going Davian Carter at like number 98, though, to test that theory out. I don't think I need to pull that here. Other positions you could target. Wide receiver is a very underrated position. I just got to be honest. I know that there's some really good role players in there. You drafted Ty Felton last year, but with the concerns over Addison's off the field condition, I kind of want to go and test the theory out of going after someone like CJ Daniels, who I absolutely love. This guy continues making top highlight catches every single week. He's just a definition of reliability. We're going to go after CJ Daniels there, wide receiver out of Miami. Number 50, Seattle Seahawks took Keith Abney in the first. You guys know me. I love going after edge rusher for this team as well, primarily because I think McDonald is one of the best minds in the NFL for defense, and I just love to give him players who are extremely flexible. Cleve Lubin has been balling out. I mean, he's 6'3", 250. Dude's been killing it, all right? And I want to give him the love and respect that he deserves. I want to send him to a coach that can utilize him. I'm going to see Cleve in person in November. I am so excited for that. Some guys you can just see, it pops off, and you're like, that's the guy. I'm hoping that's what it is with Cleve. I do not have Louisville defensive all-22 tape. Otherwise, I'd be giving you a much more in-depth opinion on that. I've seen a lot of clips about him, and I do like what I see. Do I love what I see? I don't think that it passes the eye test on tape the way that the numbers say, but I still like it, and that gets me comfortable enough to take him at 50. 51 for the Buccaneers. We ended up trading with the Chiefs, so we have 51 and 60. Still got David Bailey, too. Woo. I'm going to go after Wet Weeks here. Dude's an absolute leader in the locker room. Could have ended up going that for the Seahawks as well, but he's a little bit on the lighter side. Whit Weeks, I mean, if you're going to send him to McDonald's, send him to, oh my God, Todd Bowles, like you're going to be happy. All right. The reason he has a 39 grade is because he got ejected for targeting early versus Florida. So if you guys are wondering, like, oh, what the hell happened there? There you go. 52 for the Broncos. First pick, Carnell Tate. Second pick, another team that might be looking at linebacker here. And there's a couple guys. Harold Perkins, not a bad option. And I know that Sean Payton loves his versatile super weapon guys. And that's what Harold Perkins is. We've seen the potential with him. Also, like Nick Bonito wasn't the biggest guy in the world either off edge. Harold Perkins could probably be utilized in a similar way. Honestly, because I'm probably going to take Harold Perkins with 55 if I don't do this. I'm going to go Harold Perkins Jr. here, linebacker at LSU. The thing about him is that he's not just a pure linebacker. It's the pass rushing upside you have to go for as well. He might be 220. He's up to 222. Oh, good. He's been actually doing a really good job. I mean, I hate to say it. The stats don't necessarily line up with the fact that he's come up in so big in the biggest moments. And he's a completely different linebacker type than Whit Weeks. I think Whit Weeks is more of a will linebacker. Harold Perkins a little more of a Sam, guys that you should be blitzing. So, they do work together. It's not like you're saying Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins are the exact same. No, completely different roles. But, both guys, especially for these respective systems, I actually like it quite a bit. 53, Jacksonville Jaguars. We have a lot of picks. A lot of them are going to be a little more back-weighted. But you're sitting here at 53. I still think the corner route is very possible. Domani Jackson got absolutely cooked versus Georgia. Granted, it was primarily on one play that he got cooked. I think it was more of a miscommunication rather than just purely his fault. But that's actually somebody who could end up working out in this system. The other name that I would throw in there, we've already passed him, is Davison Igbinosun. I really like how he plays the game of football. He's just a very solid physical corner. My question is, I wish they had the penalty stats in here because that's just his biggest concern. More than anything is the penalties. So, unfortunately, does not look like we have the opportunity to do that. But on 14 targets, he has 2 forced incompletions. I honestly think he's going to continue rising. His measurables are going to be great. He's a very solid athlete, 5-star. I don't know why so many people are sleeping on him. I've been a Igbinosun guy for a while. I'm going to stick my foot in the sand, and based on the physicality profile, I think he's going to fit very well with how Jacksonville views its future on defense. At 54 for the Cincinnati Bengals, we got Mansour Delane and Vega Ione. And actually, yes, we now have the correct picks for them. Hallelujah. But looking at how we can continue making this team better, this is where we might try to look at one of those lower tier but bigger edge rushers. You're talking about Kenyatta Jackson. But Kenyatta is he's still too developmental for me to take him here. But the guy I'm looking at is Zion Young. He's been performing phenomenally this year. He's in that 260 range. He has the build. When you have Hendrickson leaving, you got to be able to make it work. And Zion Young, I believe he has over 33 and a quarter inch arms, which is going to be good enough to pass the threshold there for the Bengals. At number 55 for the Indianapolis Colts. We went Delane and Vega. I'm just double checking to make sure I did not just screw that up by taking another edge rusher. But for the Colts, honestly, another team that could have ended up going after Zion Young, Lou Amarino, the defensive coordinator, but went Christian Miller there in the first. Corner, a lot of you guys are talking about that corner 2 spot. I don't blame you. And honestly, that's where I'm looking at Domani Jackson at this point. Again, he's always struggled early in the year. That's his thing. He struggles early and gets better as the year goes on. I don't understand what's going on here, but I do think the Alabama defensive scheme is a little bit weird. So I'm not going to necessarily grill him for that. Breaks my heart that DJ Harvey, even though he would never be the guy for this team, I just need to say this right now. It sucks he could not translate at all. That, it breaks my heart because I was seeing him, I'm this is the right role for him. Very similar to Mansour Delane. Some guys just can't take the step up in a competition, and he could not. So that sucks. But Chris Johnson, another name. Chandler Rivers, definition of a good football player. Just, again, we're talking about guys who are going to be sliding into the nickel. You want to get guys who can play the boundary. Malik Muhammad's far from bad. Honestly, probably a good option at this point. Dalen Everett, overrated. Um, I'm thinking about for the Colts, though, Damani Jackson. Again, struggled with, I mean, his grade dropped tremendously with one big miscommunication versus Georgia. But if he ends up continuing that, he's not worth it. But guys like Broshmo believe he's a first round corner. Where do I have Jackson on my board currently? You guys are seeing more than you should. You guys should be paying for this. DJ McKinney needs a star, but he's somewhere in here. My eyes are failing me right now, but he's somewhere. Domani is right there at 66. So, this is a good range for him to go, but he will be destined to fall otherwise. 56 for the San Francisco 49ers went Isaiah World in the first, and I freaking love that. Alfred Collins with a crazy punch out last night. Love that. I mean, that was a if it wasn't for him, y'all would have lost, right? Incredibly done. Incredibly done. But wide receiver still on the board for y'all. I hate to say it, with the way Kendrick Bourne is playing, it's very clear that there is some room for improvement, if you will. And Nick Harbor doesn't fit this system. I know a lot of people are going to be like, "How's Nick Harbor not drafted yet?" I mean, DK ended up falling, granted, for the neck concern more than anything, but Nick Harbor is just a little bit less polished. I'm going to go Jeremy Bernard here. After the catch is a very, we're going to essentially, and I want to see the weight. He's not built the same, but after the catch ability, I can see a role in this offense of what Debo used to have with the short catches and being more after the catch. But Jeremy Bernard's fantastic after the catch. I want to give him all the love I can get. And this is a guy who I believed in since he came into Alabama. And I'm very happy to continue that trend there. At 57 for the Chargers, I don't know how this happened. We got Connor Lew in the first, and somehow Big Dom Orange slips here in the second. Sometimes just defensive players, good players fall every year. It's just the order really determines who's going to stay in certain positions, who's going to go higher, who's going to tank. At 58 for the Rams, we've taken Mateer and Jermod McCoy. Very good duo there. Very good duo. I feel very comfortable with that. Right tackle wise, I honestly might draft Tierney at this point because it's best player available and just see if he works at right tackle. This is somebody who I have as my number 3 player in the class. It's just, he's 6'8" with shorter arms at left tackle. A lot of people get very scared when it comes to that. But for the Rams, I don't think you can go wrong with it. So Caleb Tierney going to be the selection there. And again, I blend my board with realism. People think Caleb Tierney is more of a 3rd round pick. So you blend the two together, you can end up saying late second is digestible. At number 59, Baltimore Ravens, Avion Terrell via a trade up. We did use our 3rd round pick and acquired the extra 4th from the Chargers, so might try to go and recomp our picks a little bit if we can, but we got our cornerback situation kind of filled out. I do want to go after someone who's a little bit more built to stuff the run, or a little more skilled versus the run. The problem being, there's not many edge rushers that I feel very comfortable with. And I know I selected defensive interior as well, but I'm looking at the players and I just don't see very many who are going to assist versus the run. And I mean, I don't even know if my Pookie Bear himself, Malachi Lawrence, who I have at number 7, would end up doing that. That's my problem. I don't think that the Ravens would be looking for that in round number 2. So I think I need to abandon that idea. How else would the Ravens improve? I'm going to go guard. And this is a player I was pounding the table for earlier, Emmanuel Pregnon. I think this guy could be a 1st round pick. His play has been phenomenal for Oregon. His step up in competition and talent has been ridiculous. And I saw the potential there at USC. I did not think it was going to be this good this early. This guy is, I do think I should probably try to throw him in a 1st round. That's how good he's been. I'm going to get ahead of the curve. He might end up being a 1st round pick. Number 60, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, David Bailey, Whit Weeks. We need to look at the offensive side of the ball as well. And with Bucky Irving being hurt, I do think a backup running back's not impossible, but at 60, that's a bit of an ask. Wide receiver is not impossible, though. I would be very open to Nick Harbor at this point and kind of just letting him have time to grow and develop into his role. So we're going to go after Nick Harbor, wide receiver out of South Carolina there at 60. Some people say he's a lock first. The problem with Nick is that he had those drops early in the year that just make you question how reliable he's going to be in the NFL. And He is somebody who is still growing. I like him a lot better than the last South Carolina receiver that we were talking about in the first round, which was Xavier Leggett. I do think Nick Harbor's better, but again, we're in a very good wide receiver class. It could mix up in any way, shape, or form, and it will be like, I could see that. So I think it's a good spot. 61, Green Bay Packers. We did not have a first pick. You guys know me. I instantly go for the trenches if I can. Granted, like Daryl Jackson's just such a good fit for this team. He's a plug. He's reliable. He's seasoned. It just kind of feels too good at this point with so many questions everywhere else to where I just feel happy being a little boring. At number 62 for the Tennessee Titans, Keldrick Falk, Denzel Boston. Um, at this point, those are the two positions they need to go after. Everything else kind of feels like a plus at this point. Like corner, I wish they ended up keeping and retaining Jarvis Brownlee. Don't know why they got rid of him. I know there's some off-field concerns there, but just going to be honest, I think that's a dumbass move. But if I'm being honest right now, I want to move out of this spot. Running back with Damon Claiborne would be fun. Just got to see how the health of the running back core ends up working out. Because I'm looking at Caden Proctor right here, and I do think some teams need to make some moves up. And even though I already drafted a tackle for Stout U, it technically doesn't stop them from doing it twice. But, like, are there teams looking? Damn, there really isn't. Okay, so Caden Proctor's not going to be moved up for. There you go. I was going to try to, like, leverage the Proctor being here to do that, which makes me feel a little bit worse about the Eagles pick there. It's like, would have been nice, but didn't end up happening. Regardless, we could go another weapon for the Titans. I'm not going to do that. But actually, this is the perfect opportunity for a DPR. Like, we already ended up going after Keldrick Falk. He's more of an early down edge rusher. And this team needs a lot of power. We could go right down the street to Joshua Josephs, who has near 35-inch arms. He's just 240, so you don't want him on the early downs where you can end up having Femi Oladejo as well as Keldrick Falk out there. I mean, it's not a bad idea. This is our third pick, right? We already took two. We're going to go after Joshua Josephs here. I'm actually going to lock it in. At number 63 for the Eagles, again, we took Trevor Gooseby in the first. Would have been nice to go Caden here. I didn't end up thinking Caden would be here. Had a great game versus Georgia, but so far, I don't think I've seen a tackle not have a good game versus Georgia. It's just a big thing you guys start asking yourself is why is Georgia not that good? For the Eagles, honestly, a boundary corner 2 is not a bad idea. With Malik Muhammad here, he's a very balanced corner. I think he has improved over the offseason. I think he's worth taking the shot on. I don't think there's a tight end available. Defensive interior, there's some players that you could talk about, but none of them that I really think are like, honestly, Lee Hunter, I'll just take him at 65. I don't think that he's a threat at number 64. So I do think a boundary corner could be if the Bills are going to be lurking there, because Malik does kind of feel like the next corner to fall in this group of players. We're going to go Malik Muhammad, boundary corner out of Texas. So we're going to go back-to-back Texas guys, which is kind of funny because Texas isn't in the best spot. But 64 for the Bills. First pick, Dylan Thieneman. Pick here at 64. I'm probably going to look at the linebacker route. The most logical guy right now in terms of realism is CJ Allen. He's a thumper. He's a guy who will set the tone. Terrain York, I still have like nightmares about him last year. I don't know if it was if he just can't play coverage, but also very similar to CJ Allen, a little bit more of that run defending linebacker, somebody who will just come downhill and diagnose. But we're going to go CJ Allen there, linebacker to Georgia for the Bills. At 65 for the Eagles, I mentioned it before. We went Gooseby and Muhammad. Tight end absolutely should be on their radar, but with two defensive interiors being up for a contract after next year, like you can talk about Brandon Cleveland, by the way, another guy who's very, very good, a very good defensive interior. I mean, Brandon Cleveland right now is technically, he's not higher than Lee Hunter. Lee Hunter's at 37, technically 35. It's the same grade, by the way. But Brandon Cleveland's at 51 for me. You guys can end up, if you want to change it to someone who's a little bit more athletic, you can do that. But I love Lee Hunter because he also is 330. I think Jordan Davis should stay, but if you can end up getting a balance there, because Lee Hunter can play like a 3 tech, but also be the size of a 1 or a 0. I'm going to take him. Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech. Like just a really solid defensive interior out of UCF that I fell in love with last year. He's been really solid for Texas Tech this year. You can see the stats yourself. But yeah, someone who I really like. At number 66 for the New Orleans Saints, Ruben Bain, Garrett Nussmeier. What else do you need? A lot. Um, I'm going to look at wide receiver here because I do think there's still amazing value in this group. Zachariah Branch, I mean, I do think he's kind of cooled off a little bit. Kevin Coleman would be fun, but Chris Brazzell brings the Marquez Valdez Scantling of this all. But like, I think Jacoby Lane is going to be the guy who's looked at as next up because he has some George Pickens to him in terms of the way that I wasn't a huge fan of George, but I loved his release package and I saw the it factor with him. Jacoby Lane could end up doing that. And you do need to have a little bit more in that receiving core, especially with the health concerns with the concussions with Chris Olave. So I'm going to go after Jacoby Lane there. And I do love the fact that now Garrett Nussmeier can have a little bit more of a YOLO ball situation with a true X. At 67, Carolina Panthers. Lenore Sellers, Sonny Styles. What else could you ask for? A lot, but it's a good start. I think going after more edge rushing talent is a good idea at this point. Quincy Rhodes, I graded him. I think he's a bit overrated. I hate to say it. He's still fun. You can still see it with him. And he's going to be somebody that should be drafted in this third round, like third to fourth round territory. My biggest issue with him is I think he's a little low IQ. Like doesn't really know where the ball is. Goes a little kamikaze, if you will. And I'm not a fan of that. Cassius Howell is probably the next guy up based on how Nick Scorton can be a little bit more of the run defense type. I want to get more sack production. And Cassius Howell just has sub 31-inch arms. That's the problem. R. Mason Thomas, sub 32. Like, there's just unfortunate things like that. But with Cassius Howell, first off, also played with Nick Scorton last year. So you have instant chemistry there. On top of that, this is a team where you're not trying to say, hey, how do we defend the run? It's like, how do we get more sack production? So Cassius Howell can end up being an addition that way with Princey Umamielen. And then you can end up going maybe after someone who's a little bit more of a high floor, maybe veteran edge rusher for extra run defense. At number 68 for the Cincinnati Bengals, Mansour Delane, Vega Ione, Zion Young. I actually like how that's turning out. I really do. It's a good group of guys. Running back, you still have guys like Damon Claiborne, who I am a super fan of. Love Damon Claiborne. Safety-wise, though, I think that Kamari Ramsey's too good to pass on. And the defensive back room still needs some help. We're going to go Kamari Ramsey there out of USC. Like a lot of very good players that have fallen and just values there. Raiders went Spencer Fano in the first, and we ended up sacrificing our second round pick to do it, but we do have back-to-back picks here as 69, or essentially, one pick apart. Nearly back-to-back picks, 69, 71. Raiders should be still looking at that quarterback position. Like the Dolphins already took their quarterback. I'm not taking one here, but we'll discuss that in a second. We addressed the offensive line, and I think that's super crucial. Defensive interior, did we end up taking the other player that I was talking about there? No, Brandon Cleveland, dude. Slow start to the year. But, I mean, tell me, would you rather have him be good against Eastern Carolina and Virginia or Wake Forest, Duke, and Virginia Tech? Not like you're going to be like, oh, that's crazy, but he's been getting better against better players, which makes me feel a lot more confident because when I ended up grading him last year, it was like, who is this guy? This guy's phenomenal. So I'm going to go Brandon Cleveland here. I think it's honestly one of the players I would consider for the Miami Dolphins here who have gone Caleb Downs and Ty Simpson. Let's address the offensive line and continue developing here if we can. Like, I know the value of Caden Proctor is too good. Do we just roll the dice and say, hey, we're building from the ground up? Caden Proctor has experience right now with Ty Simpson. Let's do it. Value's too good. This is going to be a long-term project. We're going to see how it works. 71 for the Vegas Raiders. Spencer Fano, Brandon Cleveland. Now we go the QB route. The question is, do you want Drew Aller, Carson Beck, Hoover, Robertson? I'm still going to believe in the upside of Aller, and then you can let Geno be the mentor there. So Aller, dude needs to get back to 2024, man. I don't know what the fuck he's doing, and it pisses me off because I had Drew Aller going into last year at QB 17, ended last year at like QB 4, started this year at QB 4, and now he's back to QB 17. I shit you not, he is QB 17 right now. But there's just so much upside to the fact, like, if he just stops doing dumb shit with his mechanics, he's going to be fine. That's why you need your quarterback in Geno Smith to give him an opportunity. We're going to go Drew Aller there. 72, Chicago Bears. Went Peter Woods. And yes, now it's correct picks. We have 72 and 75 coming up soon. We have to go after some type of edge presence here. This is where Quincy Rhodes could make some sense. He's 6'6", 275, and he has that pass rushing ability. Now, I want somebody a little bit more balanced versus the run if possible. Anthony Lucas is an intriguing option, but I need to get some USC defensive tape. I'm really excited to dig a little bit more into that and understand him on a little bit more of that level. You know what? No, we're going to go Malachi Lawrence. Malachi, I believe he's 6'5", 263 with 35-inch arms. So we're going to go after my king, who is not even listed. Not even listed. Number 7 player in the class, Malachi Lawrence. Number 8 in the country for true pass rush win rate, with over 60 pass rushing reps, which is, if there's some dude has 2 pass rushing reps or 3 of them and ends up getting 2 pressures or 2 wins, then he's going to be crazily higher. So on a realistic, it's not Nigel Kelly, who also has near 35-inch arms, by the way. I need to see UCF defensive tape, man. I need it like I need air. But, Nigel Leak, also a really solid player, but Malachi Lawrence, edge rusher out of UCF, my number 7 player in the class, slipping to 72. 73 for the Browns. We went Deni, Dennis Sutton, Caleb Lamu, Dante Moore. Killer draft so far. We could go corner here and just go after, Will Lee. I'm not selling anybody on that. I ain't doing that shit. We're going to go wide receiver. At this point, Antonio Williams is a damn good receiver. He's just been banged up a bit. So we're going to go after him here. Wide receiver out of Clemson. You're talking about someone who could be a little bit that Jerry Jeudy type for the long haul. He's somebody who could be a true first-round pick, but health-wise, with all the other receivers doing really well, I do think it's possible that he ends up slipping to this point. Then we have the Arizona Cardinals, Arvell Reese, Casey Concepcion. Really good foundational players right there. Xavier Chaplin's pissed me off. I mean, I just don't know any other right tackles in this class. For those of y'all who are seeing Tomas Remak on my board, that was him as a left guard at Virginia Tech last year. That's why I have him graded to drop. I mean, he's still doing a fine job. I mean, if you look at it, a 208 pass blocking reps with 6 total pressures, 3 of them being in week 1, and 3 of them being at right tackle, by the way. I'll give him some slack. Just going to be honest. I do think he's a damn good player. But, there needs to be some level of chill. But yeah, Austin Barber proved to be a guard. I mean, I feel very happy about my gut reaction saying this dude's a guard. The player I'm actually looking at is Emil Wagner. Some people are going to say, oh, he didn't do well versus Miami. Nobody has. But on top of that, he did better than pretty much any other tackle. If I'm just being honest. Look at this. He has 5 pressures allowed on the year. He already played Miami. That bum that you saw earlier. He's up to 300, by the way, as well. He actually fits the archetype. He has a good length, good mobility. I'm going to go Emil Wagner. We're going to say, we're going to give a shot for him. I like that, actually. Good mobility. And again, it was his first game of the year going up against the best pass rushing duo in the entire country. Shit happens. Bears went with Malachi Lawrence and Peter Wood so far, revamped their defensive front. I do think left tackle, if you can try to squeeze one out, wouldn't be a bad idea to throw a bone. Caden Green, getting somebody who's a little bit more strong in terms of his foundation. Just hasn't played since week 3, hoping that the injury's not that serious. I'm not fully up to date on how Caden Green's been doing. Player who I love, but he's going to be a guard in the NFL, is Chris Adams. My Lord. Really fun player. Love him. Huge fan. But regardless, let's refocus on the Bears. I'm going to go down a whole rabbit hole, and it's going to be bad. I'm going to actually go Damon Claiborne here, though. I love him for this team. We'll see if because Brosh ended up saying he was injured. Otherwise, I would have him a lot higher. But he ended up balling out versus Georgia Tech, having an amazing run. He's my RB1. I mean, he'll be dropping a little bit for, some potential concerns there and inconsistency, but he'll end up being my RB2 because there's not really much competition for that in this class. So, I mean, to be fair, Jonah Coleman, deserves a lot of love. He deserves a regrade, and he's already boosted up to 9, and he's probably going to boost it up to 2. So Devon Claiborne probably RB3 for me, but home run hitter, really really fun player, and kind of exactly what you want to try to be a Jahmyr Gibbs type. 76 for the Steelers. Makai Clement. Oh my lord. Makai Lemon, Cade Klubnik. Good foundational pieces right there. And again, we also have 3 picks that we're continuing to invest. And one of them needs to be on the offensive line. The question is, who do you want to go after? Like Xavier Chaplin, dude's been ass this year. Is he still a junior? Yeah, he needs to go back to school. Dude's been ass. And that sucks. Caden Green actually might not be a bad choice because guard is open. It definitely is open because Broderick Jones has been doing a horrible job, but he's not. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But I think Caden Green, with the way he's been playing left tackle, the way he played left guard, I like that potential there. And he brings that physicality and the high floor that let's just continue investing in the offense. I know we need to invest in the defense, but I don't really see Caden Green going in the next 2 picks, but I could see a corner. Let's look at the corners. Because now you could start saying, like, we're going to take a shot on this guy. We're going to take a shot on that guy. Who do we want to go after? We want guys who are physical, who are dangerous. For me, I don't really have any other corners that are, like, sneakily available. Like, DJ McKinney has the potential to bounce back. But, I mean, this is the 3rd round. This is where you kind of take somebody like that and just say, like, I know the potential that you have. Chris Johnson, though. Like, I think I might want to give this guy a shot. I have not watched him in all 22, but this dude's been phenomenal. And I'm going to roll the dice. 6 foot 195, very well balanced. You see the man coverage grade and the zone coverage grade. It's good. Run defense grade, solid. Like, I'm going to go for it. Why not? Like, let's test some theories out because I'm not happy with the other corners. Let's try to get a little bit excited here about somebody new. At number 77 for the New England Patriots went Kenyon Sadiq, Alex Harkey. Look at that, both Oregon Ducks. I like that. That solves 2 very big positions of need. Wide receiver, Chris Brazzell would be kind of crazy. I'm not going to lie. You don't really have a Marquez Valdez-Scantling type. And this dude has taken a huge step up. Like, I thought he was not NFL grade. He was my 2nd lowest graded player coming into this year. And he's really progressed. And I love seeing that. Bryce Lane as well. I know that there's a lot of big Bryce Lane fans out there. I do not have North Dakota State tape, so I cannot make a comment on that. But let's go after Chris Brazzell. I haven't given him enough love. We're going to give him that. And again, with a quarterback, like a lot of quarterbacks, I was thinking of Chris Brazzell maybe like for the Niners, you talk about him. But it's like that offense won't utilize him right. Drake May will. So it's like I feel a lot better with that situation. Falcons, that's the team I was talking about with corner. Definitely a team that still could use it, and I could probably still go after it. You guys did a great job with your defensive backs. We can end up looking at the corners at this point. I just don't think Dalen Everett's that good. Thaddeus Dixon is a player I really like. I mean, he is just very well balanced. He's played well against multiple teams, including TCU, by the way. We're going to go Thaddeus. Why not? I like Thaddeus Dixon quite a bit. Yeah, we're going to go with Thaddeus Dixon, cornerback out of North Carolina. I haven't shown him any love in this, and where's Thaddeus? I have him in here. Like, he is in my top 100. Somewhere. My eyeballs are failing me. There he is, 83. So, yeah, 83 at 78 makes some sense. So, number 79, Pittsburgh Steelers, we're back. Chris Johnson. Could have been Thaddeus Dixon if you want it. Then you could swap Chris Johnson with the Falcons there. Either way, probably would want to take that. But I was talking about it earlier. I think offensive line's probably the move. And I'm a big fan of giving Caden Green a shot, either at guard or tackle. You can do the same thing with Tomas Remak, to be fair. I'm trying to think. I think Caden Green's going to be a little bit more, well, what's Tomas weighing at? He's up to 320. Tomas just doesn't feel like he's going to be drafted in the 3rd versus Caden Green probably will. We're going to go Caden Green. Guard/tackle out of Missouri. Just need to continue investing in the offensive line. It's never a bad idea. Just continue making. I mean, also Caden's used to mobile quarterbacks. Not saying that Tomas is not, but I think Caden Green's going to be a little more comfortable with this style of offense. Number 80 for the Miami Dolphins. This might be where I even take Tomas Remak. We got Caden Proctor, Ty Simpson, Caleb Downs. I think we need to start going after a weapon because, fortunately, Tyreek's not coming back. It's If he does, then I don't think he's going to be remotely himself. Eric Singleton at this point, he's perfectly built if you guys continue said type of offense for the style of offense, and he's just been underutilized at Auburn. It's the only reason why he's available here, so we're going to take the value. Minnesota Vikings, my dyslexic ass. Colton Hood, CJ Daniels, really good start. Still got some dudes to plug the middle here, and I know that you see guys like Redmond doing well. I still want to plug, man. I still want to plug. Linebacker, though, I do also hear you guys. You guys want to go after some extra linebacker talent. And looking at the guys available, I don't want to go for someone undersized. How big is Rodriguez? Rodriguez is a fucking dog. Like, this guy showed up big time versus Utah. We're going to go Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker at Texas Tech. I mean, he was somebody that I literally wrote his name down. I'm like, who's this Rodriguez kid? He's that good. And then statistically, he lines up with the talent that you see with your eyes, and I love it. Seahawks, Keith Abney, Cleve Lubin. I'm going to look at the interior of the offensive line. And honestly, I could go and take this for a little bit of a fun ride and go after Tomas Remak at this point. I was saying, like, I don't think he'll be drafted here. I don't think he'd be drafted above Caden Green, but he played guard very, very freaking well to the point where I had him at 12 overall on my damn board. And, he's been testing out the tackles right now, but I think he needs to go back to the guard position, and we're going to go after him here for the Seahawks. I could have went wide receiver, but again, I've depleted the wide receiver position pretty heavily. Not saying there's not guys there, but I'm just saying for a team that could have gotten that value, I think it's good. Chiefs ended up making a move up with the Buccaneers and ended up getting LT Overton, position they need. Running back, honestly, they still need it. The question is, who's worth it? Hollywood Smothers is on like a tear right now. Speaking of tears, rest in peace to Jaheim White's ACL. That's a low blow. I mean, he's my Pookie Bear. He's my number one running back coming to the year. I have the right to say that. Where the hell is Robert Henry Jr.? What the hell? This guy absolutely diced up Texas A&M. Le'Veon Moss is a very good back as well. But we're going to use a placeholder here. Robert Henry Jr. He's been phenomenal. We'll let Anthony Hankerson, because nothing else is boosting his stock. We'll boost his ADP by selecting him here. Robert Henry Jr., running back for UTSA. Dude tore up Texas A&M. Really good explosiveness off the line. Very similar in terms of the contact balance as well. If you're looking, I mean, he's basically Isaiah Pacheco with more deep speed, and I think it's going to be a big asset to this team. 84 Denver Broncos so far. Carnell Tate, Harold Perkins. I mean, both pretty big names. I want to go the interior of the offensive line. Jake Slaughter, I mean, he's just more probable. You got to go and replace Wattenberg. So we'll go after a guy that's more of a fan favorite. At 85 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, so far we went Davison Igbinosun. I do think tight end's not out of the question at this point. There are some very good tight ends in this mix. Like, I hate to say it, they're like, I think I'm going to roll the dice because this is a team that is willing to have some balls. I'm going to go and look at Eli Raridan, tight end out of Notre Dame, who's not listed here. So we're going to get my boy Matt Hibner. Got to meet him in person at SMU, the placeholder. But my number 54 player, I almost said 51, 54 player, Eli Raridan out of Notre Dame. He's finally being used properly, and he is showing out. Outside of a couple drops early on, this dude's been tearing it up. 86 for the Washington Commanders. Jeremiah Love, the first pick. You guys know me. I want to go edge and get something for us here. And Quincy Rhodes feels like the guy you'll roll the dice on. His motor's always going. Just again, the high IQ is not there, but the production is. 87 for the Colts, another team that would have been open to Quincy Rhodes, in my opinion. But Anthony Lucas has been equally as productive, and this team needs to get some talent in their edge core with how many guys are leaving. So it does fit the physical build of a Lou Amarino defense. 88 for the San Francisco 49ers. Isaiah World, Jeremy Bernard, good players. Hard to pass on very good players at this point. We're going to go the tight end route. And, I think Max Clare would be someone who could be in this mix. Like, he still hasn't even hit 100 yards, man. Like, that just kicks me in the nuts. Because I really think that he's built for so much more. Miles Kitselman's like someone who I love, but the dude ended up having a horrible drop last week, and it's pushed me out of where I wanted to keep him. Like I really liked him coming into the year. Not gonna keep him there. I will say the tight end class has gotten a little scary to say the least. Jack Endry's probably the next best, but it's like Jack Endry's fits the Niners though. We'll go after Jack Endry's here. Number 89, he's good after the catch, solid blocker. He's a very high floor player. Chargers went Connor Lew, Dom Orange. We need to get something with a little bit more sizzle, a little more steak to it. But the question is where. I think this is where you could also go after a tight end, but again, it's just like maybe we could end up seeing some more potential. I mean, you could go Kitzelman for the blocking and just kind of utilize Gadsden as more of the receiving tight end. Honestly, not a bad idea. Like if you want to utilize him as a blocker, you probably should. I'll wait to 91 for that. Is there anything that I'd feel like the Rams could try to snipe from us? Probably not. We already went interior offensive line. Could try to get some backup tackle just based on the health concerns, but edge rusher is also kind of a big need for us. And, you could go after, there's a lot of very good players here. I'm going to go after somebody who's a little bit more underrated. How is Umamielen does? I know he got hurt last week early, and that just breaks my heart. Hopefully it's not that big of an injury. But I'm actually going to go after Akeem Mesidor here. Like, just a dude who's been tearing it up. You need to get some pass rush presence here. We're going to go Akeem Mesidor for the Chargers. 90 for the Rams. Mateer, Jermont McCoy, Tiernan. Really good group. I want to get somebody who could stretch the field. And Zachariah Branch is just perfect to replace Tutu Atwell and has the return ability. Makes a lot of sense. 91 for the Chargers. I just forget who I was talking about. Oh, Kitzelman. Got to get a blocking tight end. He's the best blocking tight end in the country, outside of maybe Raritan. And even though the receiving game hasn't been there, you could see with how the Seahawks have used it, like Robbie Woods, blocking's a very big deal with the tight end position, especially in a very run-heavy offense. 92 for the Chiefs, LT Overton, as well as Robert Henry Jr., not Anthony Hankerson. But, I mean, another team that could look at wide receiver, like, you could. It's not out of the question at all, but also something you could probably wait on. Defensive back, I do know that there's some things shifting around, and Bray Hubbard's a big hitter, but AJ Halsey's been a baller for LSU. I know that this would be a longer-term option there at the safety route, and he's been playing phenomenally well. 93 for the Packers. We're going to go after corner. You guys aren't afraid to have guys who are slight nickels playing on the boundary. We're going to go D'Angelo Velcro Pons, corner out of Indiana. Dude is amazing. He is an amazing corner. I want to show him all the love that he can get. 94 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So far, Igbinosin as well as Eli Raritan, tight end out of Notre Dame. Had to use a placeholder. I'm going to go after interior offensive line here if I can. And looking at the guys who are available, also going to toss in the tackles because some of them just probably should be guards. Looking at the ones who are available, there is one that I want to go after off the bat, and that's going to be Drew Shelton, tackle out of Penn State, but I'm going to be kicking him to guard. I think he'd be a high-quality day 2 guard. Philadelphia Eagles, another team that I think Drew Shelton would have been a very good target for. Austin Barber might be the selection because I think he is going to be arguably a higher tier guard than Shelton, but he just hasn't had the worst games. And especially at that right guard spot, definitely open for an upgrade. But tight end is also needed. And looking at the guys available, you need to have a balance of blocking as well as receiving ability. My only issue is there's not really that in this class that's available. Like Justin Jolly has gotten up there. The problem is I don't think he's an amazing blocker, but he's in that 263 range, and I think that might be worth it. He is a very quality tight end, and he's finally starting to be utilized a little bit more in that offense. We're going to go after Justin Jolly for the Eagles. 96 for the Bills, Thieneman, CJ Allen. Let's get a burner. Can we get a deep threat for the Bills? Do we have that ability? Deuce Robinson honestly could end up being like that. Chase Roberts used to the cold. He's also a very solid player, not a deep threat. Kevin Coleman. You know what? I'm going to show love. Deuce Robinson's been killing it this year. He's been killing it. And I actually want to see him on this team. I mean, you also can utilize him the way that Keon Coleman was utilized with Johnny Wilson. So there is that easy way to utilize the two that you've seen before. At 97 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mekhi Lemon, Cade Klubnik, Chris Johnson, and a Caden Green. Just kind of like just mismatching and getting great value. I'm going to go Bray Hubbard here. We want big hitters. This dude's an absolute beast. I really like Bray Hubbard. He pops off to me. Somebody who will just end up bringing that Steeler mentality, the AFC North, to whoever's doubting whether the Steelers still got it. We still got some good quarterbacks here. Might try to get some teams to trade up here at the end of the first. Minnesota Vikings so far, Colton Hood, CJ Daniels, Jacob Rodriguez. I feel like this is a good spot for a team to try to make a move. Again, I mean, center, actually, Lyndon Cooper is a good spot here. We're going to go Lyndon Cooper, center out of Pittsburgh. He's my top center, but most people don't have him there. I always like to put good players that I will not be drafting into and just boost their ADP that way. Where the hell is my guy Davion Carter? There we go. So Davion Carter is going to be the placeholder for my number 16 currently player, Lyndon Cooper, center out of Pittsburgh. Again, there's some concerns over the concussions there. 99 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We've taken enough players with them, in my opinion. I don't think the value is necessarily here. So we're going to make a move up with a team that's looking probably to test out that quarterback room for sure. I mean, you could end up having some of these teams create some quarterback competition. Damn. That's actually quite surprising. We took a lot of quarterbacks. Damn. I was really trying to get a team to move up for Carson Beck, but like all these teams have taken QB. I mean, you could take the Giants, but then you're just creating bullshit drama. Like, I don't think that's the right way to handle it. Damn. I mean, the Cardinals could be, but there's like no competition. All right. Not going to do it. So Jaguars so far, guard, tight end, corner. Again, not Hibner, but like honestly, getting a DPR wouldn't be a bad idea. I'm going to go R. Mason Thomas, edge rusher out of Oklahoma. I mean, he's a really high quality edge rusher. When things go right, he dominates. Eagles, last but not least, Gooseby, Malik Muhammad, Lee Hunter, Justin Jolly. Got boundary corner 2, defensive tier for the future, tight end, and a future right tackle. At this point, you're kind of playing with house money. I like to go on the interior of the offensive line and just take a shot on somebody. So the question is who? You can go after a wrestling champion here in Jennings Dunker, and I just don't think Dunker's that great, but if you're going to make me believe, send him to Stout U, and I think that's the way I'm going to go. We're going to go after Jennings Dunker for our guy, Trevor Sigma, who loves him to death. We're going to end up taking that shot there. So let me know what you guys think. We made it out barely. I think we ended up breaching an hour, but that's okay. Thank you guys again for showing the love and support you always do. Love you. See you later.